How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, MuniciPals? This is Big C and Ashton. Man, we haven't done a pod just us chatting. I mean, we did one a couple weeks ago, but like we haven't just had it like what we've been up to in the last couple weeks. So definitely stoked for a recap. How you been, my man?
Things are good. I mean, the real question is, how are you guys? What was 113 today in Portland? I mean, I'll tell you how I'm doing, but it was 113 in Portland today.
Dude, there's a reason I went to the coast and played Manzanita and Highlands today, because like, holy shit. Yeah, it was like 110 yesterday, high 90s the day before, 115 today. Like, I came back from the coast. I got home at 7:30 and it was still 105. This is the most ridiculous weather I've ever seen in Portland ever.
Is this just, do they know, is this global warming, or like what's going on?
I mean, everybody that doesn't think that's real is an idiot. So first off, and second, like Seattle and Portland shouldn't be getting this hot. It isn't what it does here.
No, I saw on Maggie, your wife's story. I mean, just now saying it's also so dangerous because it's not prepared for it. Like,
well, the city isn't prepared at all. Like half the restaurants and stores and everything have shut down through the whole weekend because all the infrastructure they haven't included AC or any of that stuff, in the building process. Is like only the newest buildings within the last 10, 15 years really have anything there.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's with our building and everything. We're lucky that we moved into an apartment with AC and we're pumping it at a good 65 while everybody else is, sweating their balls off. So
yeah. You'll have to keep me posted on what y'all's electricity bill is next month.
I don't even want to know.
And also, it's one of those things. Who cares? Yeah, yep. Who cares?
I don't even care. I'm just glad I'm able to be in here and comfortable. Well, like everybody else, like we're seeing everybody, all of our friends in these like nice old classic apartments of Portland, just dying.
Yeah. No, well, I'm glad you guys are okay, but
yeah,
things are good here, man. I mean, I played golf. We'll talk about this. That's kind of the whole point of this episode, but I played golf for the first time last weekend in 3 weeks, and it felt great. It felt great to be back, but really enjoyed having a bit of a break here. But things are good. Weather here in the Bay is kind of what you'd expect. 50s and 60s, and it was nice actually to get out. We were at Spanos, the reserve at Spanos Park, which I know you have played before. It was a lovely day. It was close to 100, but selfishly coming from the South where I'm used to 100 and humid, it actually felt really nice to be in the sunshine. But things are solid over here.
Dude, that is good to hear. I definitely miss all the homies in the Bay. I don't necessarily, me. I've been over the Bay Area for a while.
We drove through Antioch, had people passing us like 110, and we were like,
"Yep,
Big C, just
shit bags out there."
Happy to not be there anymore. Lots of cars with no bumpers, also crazy.
Oh no, it's NASCAR out on 4. Like it's absurd how bad the traffic is out there, and it's always caused by somebody driving exactly like that.
Yeah, people are going real fast.
They're ridiculous.
Yeah, but we just thought it was time. I mean, again, we've had very different experiences where post-golf trip, I've had a lesson. I played one round and I'm kind of feeling refreshed. You've been on the heater of your life, but we just thought it was time to kind of sit down and do a little bit of a recap on, kind of like mainly where you've been playing. Because the nice part about this podcast is you send me pictures, I've seen texts, but to really dive in and tell me about some of these great experiences you've had with some great people who, from what it sounds like before you press record, are people we're going to be talking to in the next couple of weeks here. So really excited to kind of hear about what you've been up to, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been all over since we've been back. I've played think I've played 6 different courses since we've been back.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I played a great course with my dad up in Washington for Father's Day. It was called Newaukum Valley. Pretty sick course. So it was like 27 holes, and you could kind of play it however you wanted. They were just like, so 9 of the holes is kind of a short course, par 3 course. The other 2 were let's see, we had a two par 36s and a par 33. So not necessarily a par 3 course, but it's the shorter of all 3 of them. And went out there, paid for 18, and they're just like, play it how you want it. But most people play are the South and East course because they're both par 36s. But however you want to mix it up, just go on out and have a good time. It was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and there was nobody out there. Very blue collar, good guys. I think I got caught in like 3 or 4 different conversations with guys in their 60s that were just stoked someone younger was out there playing. And they're giving me the tips and tricks of the course and, giving me the whole lay of the land. And it was really, really nice atmosphere out there. And then me and my dad went to this little truck stop diner style place and had some breakfast at 12:30. But it was good vibes. It was a really good time. Really enjoyed it. But I've had some great experiences. I got to go out and play Wildwood with Max from MuniKids and Ryan, the general manager out there, who also is the son of the owner of Wildwood, and got to really hear some great stories about that course. So if anybody doesn't, or if you don't know where Wildwood is just west of Portland on your way out to Scappoose. If you're ever in Oregon, don't visit Scappoose, please. It's a waste of, just don't. But please go out to Wildwood. We consider it still Portland limits. We don't really want to give that to Scappoose because they're kind of, we don't want that. Anyways, but
Scappoose?
Yeah, that's the name of the town.
I mean, there's some places in Georgia I can tell you about. Like there's Cumming, Cumming, real place. There's Butts County in Georgia, but Scappoose, I'm not even going to say what's in my mind, but I'm just saying that's an interesting word to hear you say out loud.
Yeah, Scappoose, and if you say it incorrectly, and the reason I know exactly how to say it is when I did fundraising for high schools, I did fundraising out there for that high school. And if I used to say Scappoose or just, something different, it's Scappoose. They will correct you immediately. Every single kid in that high school will make sure you say it correctly.
How do you spell it?
Oh, don't put me on the spot there. It's just like, it's Scappose, I think.
Okay, no, but I was wondering. No, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah. Anyways,
this is a family. Actually, that's not true either. I realize it's a family-friendly podcast. This is not a family-friendly.
It's not. No. So if you let your children listen to this, that's on you.
Can I go play golf with Big C, Dad? It's like, absolutely not.
So, but Wildwood, great time, great guys out there running that place. They just redid the logo for the anniversary, and I've got to say, the Sasquatch logo might be one of the best logos I've ever seen in golf. They absolutely killed it with that logo. And the course, if you've ever watched the NLU Tour Sauce, when they come through Portland, they play Wildwood. Neil comes out and plays it. It's a quirky, fun course. The coolest thing is the person I played with, his dad built it. So the owner of the course right now actually built it in the 90s. And for someone that just went out to build a golf course, and he had some experience, he's done some stuff like that in the past, but to just go out and build such a good golf course, it's so cool to really hear. And we're going to have an entire pod with them, on where we talk all things Wildwood and really dive into the story behind the course. I don't want to lay a half-assed story out there that, isn't 100% accurate. So I definitely want them to portray the story behind Wildwood. But if you're ever in the Portland area, check out Wildwood, because it's an absolute gem. And that's a phrase that we're trying to get rid of, but it really is. I mean, the kids that run the pro shop, the general manager to the maintenance staff, they're all great. They're all really, really good people. I've really enjoyed going out there, and I'll be going out there do sweeping with them very frequently, here coming up. So
yeah. So Chris, so you're telling me it's because obviously we're going to come on for the story, but I also want to hear more about, you described the golf course as quirky. So a couple things, like, what does that mean to you? And then I imagine with that, there probably has to be some pretty crazy holes. So what were some of those highlights for you where it's like, this hole is just, again, if it's quirky, there's got to be a couple holes where you're like, what is going on?
So we'll talk. Okay. So the first tee shot is an elevated tee shot, par 5. And it's just an epic shot with water on the right, tiny trees that they just actually trimmed down to make it a little bit easier because they were really big and bushy, and it made the sight line on the right-hand side almost impossible, where now you actually have a little bit of a lane. They've mowed down the rough a bit so you can actually roll it through, but it's just an epically long par 5, opening hole. And then you go up to the next hole, and it's an uphill par 4, and that's really, really challenging as well. Everything is some sort of undulation on this course. There is not one flat hole on the entire course. I take that back. There might be one, but for the most part, there's up and downs going through the entire course. Even on the back 9, where 17 and 18 are up on top of this hill, they're a little bit on the flatter side, but you're still either hitting up or down a hill. On 17 is, I would say 17, 18 might be 2 of my favorite golf holes, like, in Portland, just because they really remind me of Harding Park, actually. So 18 at Wildwood is very, very similar to 16 at Harding Park. So the one that kind of goes down the ravine a little bit, and the green's kind of just perched out there. It's very, very similar to that, except the tee box is a little lower, and you're kind of hitting up a crest a little bit, and then it dips back down and then comes up into the green. But the trees and everything are very similar to San Francisco trees, which you don't see in Portland ever. It's, much more of redwoods and evergreens and things like that. So you kind of get a little bit of everything out there. The main part of the course resembles, for you, something that would kind of stick. It would resemble a little bit of Coos Golf Club a little bit, where it's kind of a giant bowl, where the course kind of weaves around the outside of it. So you're kind of hitting tee shots down into greens on a lot of the par 3s. They're all downhill, except for number 8 is an uphill par 3 with a giant hill on the left that you can kind of hit off of, and it'll funnel down into the green. Really, really fun hole that doesn't look fun, but it's better when you play it. And then 9 is probably, I would say most people that I go out there and play with, 9 is one of their favorite holes, because the drivable par 4, about 310 yards. And you can kind of, if you really want to rail a driver, you absolutely can. There's a giant backstop behind the green. So, I mean, if you're a big hitter, you can roll it, land it like 290, 300, and it'll roll right off the back and kind of funnel back into the green, which is really fun to play. Tons of room on the right and left, so you can kind of just blast it. And then there's these power lines that run, vertically along the entire hole. So, local rules are, if you hit a power line, you re-tee and you hit again. but it's just really quirky and weird but so awesome at the same time. The greens are just like all other Portland Pacific Northwest greens, like I talk about. They're hard as a rock. They roll true. Very receptive. I can't say anything, bad about Wildwood, to be honest. And then, I've gotten to play a few more. So now I'm co-running the Portland Random Golf Club group. So getting a little involved with that, utilizing it more for like meeting people and setting up, tee times and things like that more than anything else. But it's been a good time because I've already met a good group of guys out here that are always down to travel and play. Like today I went out and played Manzanita and in Highlands out on the coast, which is a couple hours from Portland. And Chris from RGC came out there and played with me, which was awesome. He actually was already out there for the weekend. He was surfing all weekend. So coolest freaking story ever. He's staying with a shaman and with his wife, on his little compound out there. And he, went surfing all weekend, and it had some really funny stories while we're out there. But on that line, Manzanita and Highlands, 2 coastal 9-holers. I wouldn't necessarily call them link style. They're a little bit more parkland. Manzanita really, really, really resembles Lincoln in San Francisco, if I was going to compare it with anything. Kind of just within the trees, weaves in and out. Really, really gorgeous area. You kind of have a little bit of walk through and through a neighborhood a little bit to get to certain holes, but very, very similar to, San Francisco golf in the aspect of Lincoln, Golden Gate Park and stuff like that. But fun 9-hole, greens were good. Price is impeccable. I mean, I think it was like $19 to $22 to play, and it's walking only. So no carts out there. There aren't a cart path on the entire course, which is super sick, actually. I mean, it lends to, kind of just a beautiful landscape with no concrete that's kind of ruining it. And it's just wide open. It's really, really fun course. And then Highlands is kind of on the opposite spectrum. It's still a little bit of a parkland course, but it's a little wide, a little bit more. I wouldn't say it's wide open. It's narrow. It's narrow as hell, because on the long par 3, let's see here. On the long par 3, it was, hole 4, 195 yards, narrow as shit, houses on both sides. I wouldn't say it was wider than 30 yards for the entire hole. Small green at the end. I destroyed a ball straight into a house, just right into the roof, off the gutter, and then lands 30 yards off the green. Yeah, it was the most epic, ridiculous shot I've ever seen in my life, and it was like my 7-wood that I just blasted off the planet and got super lucky. And then I ended up bogeying the hole. So I was stoked. I mean, today at the Highlands, I was on fire. So first hole, I just blew up, double bogeyed first hole. It's a 240-yard par 4. Dog legs right. If you hit a correct shot.
A 240-yard par 4?
But there's a giant tree on your right-hand side, and it's a giant dog leg right. So you can either take a 3-wood or whatever you hit 240 and just pound it over the tree. You could try to hit a fade if you're right-handed, left to right, fade into the green around the tree, or do what I did and just sky one straight left, and then hit a chip shot in, and then miss the green long, and then chip it short, and then 2-putt. and then just get a 6.
So you made a 6 on a 240-yard hole.
I did. But then second hole, nice little 106-yard par 3. Not much to deal with. Nice little par there. 2-putt par. Third hole, 353-yard par 4. So a little bit more challenge there. Got a little par in there. Then it starts getting challenging with some of the par 3s that come up. You've got a 195-yard par 3. And that was the one that was narrow as hell. And so I blasted it, landed it off, chipped it on, and then 2-putted for a bogey. Then I started heating up. We had 91-yard par 3. So if I did not birdie this, I would have felt horrible because this is a chip shot approach. Like, this should be no-brainer. So I birdied that. I hit it within 10 feet. Number 6 is another par 3, 126 yards, parred out on there. 7, 243-yard par 4, on and 1 for an eagle putt. Hit a ball in 5-wood. This thing was ridiculous. Ended up birdieing it, 2-putt there. Then the next hole's a 241-yard par 4, on and 1 for an eagle putt. Birdied that one. Then the ninth was 199-yard par 3, and I ended up parring that for an even 31.
What a quirky course. Like,
quirky course, man. It's just all, you pretty much get the gamut of shots with this course. Like,
it is awesome for a 9-hole track, because that's what I was going to ask.
Good.
Like, I'm always curious. Like, I don't necessarily expect you to know this, but I'm curious on both of these courses, when they're 9-hole courses that are not par 3s. Did they tell you, or did you kind of figure out like why they're only 9 holes? That the only amount of land they had allocated, or like they're working with a small footprint?
So definitely with Manzanita, it's tucked into a really tight piece of property. So you can tell that's kind of what it was built for. Just, vacationers that were there for the weekend, anybody that wanted to play golf. It was kind of a really quick and fast, place for somebody to pop in, play around, and get out.
And how far is that from, remind me again, Chris, how far is that from Portland?
It's close to 2 hours, about an hour, 45 minutes.
So not too bad.
Yeah, hour and 45 to Manzanita, and that's actual city of Manzanita. And then Highlands is actually in the city of Gerhardt. So it's one exit past Gerhardt golf links.
Oh man, that must have been hard for you to drive past there and not play.
Well, we stopped there for lunch.
There you go.
So we stopped in there. I sent you guys some pictures and everything there. But dude, Gerhardt, I can't wait to get out there and play. Have you ever played there? No, I haven't played there. And I literally almost wanted to not go play Highlands and see if they had a tee time. I'm glad I didn't, because Highlands was so freaking good. But Gerhardt, it brought me back to Bandon. Like, it was that close. And it looked like they just redid the greens and tee boxes because they were bright green.
Wow.
So they, looked in immaculate shape. I couldn't tell you how good it looked. I mean, Gerhardt looks so good. But pull up to Highlands and
how far is Highlands from Manzanita?
About 15 miles, which can take, depending on the traffic out there, because it's only a 2-lane road. And so it takes between 20 and 40 minutes, depending on the traffic between the two of them.
But so crazy, there's 2 great 9-hole tracks that are that close as the crow flies.
To be honest, there's more. Really? So there's close to 20 oceanfront golf courses. I wouldn't say oceanfront, but ocean adjacent golf courses within the within the Oregon coast outside of Bandon, not including the Bandon Resort. there is an insane amount of golf. I really can't wait to get to Agate golf links as well, Agate Beach. And then there's a few more down in that area that I've really, wanted to play. Unfortunately, I don't know them off the top of my head. And then Florence was the other one that me and you almost played on our way up from Bandon, which I need to get down there and play that as well. But it's an endless number of courses that are on the coast of Oregon. It's pretty cool.
Crazy. Okay, so then you finally got there, and then how was
finally
Highland?
Highlands was really good.
It's Highlands.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. So Highlands Golf Link. So they just changed the logo. The old logo used to be this kind of, I would say almost a New Orleans style like logo. It's kind of got like these fleur-de-lis on the side, and then it's a circle crest with like a tree and birds flying over it. Kind of very generic logo.
Yeah.
And they just redid it and put this, their new logo is this like elk kind of standing on its back hinds with the flag. And it's got to be one of the best logos in golf. Between that and Manzanita, they might have the two best logos in Oregon.
But even over the Wildwood Sasquatch, I mean, basically what you've played in the last week might be the best three.
That's true. The Sasquatch is really new as well. They're still trying to find a name for him. So if any of our listeners, you should follow Wildwood on their posts, that you'll actually go through it, and they're actually looking for people to name them, and they will give you free golf. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's free golf for a year. So if you're local in Portland and you name the Sasquatch, it's a deal. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. So they're holding a pretty cool little competition to see what it's going to be, and they've got a few names that they're leaning on right now, but they're still trying to figure it out. But
what would your name be? What would your name for the Sasquatch be?
I just think it would be hilarious to do like a person's name,
like Earl.
Yeah, like Earl or Fred, or like James, Jack. Yeah, I think that would be sick.
What if Jack's side hustle was he would dress up as a Sasquatch and run around the golf course?
Or they just shorten the name and dude, we should get him hired at Wildwood just to dress in a Sasquatch costume and hide in the forest and just scare people.
But then knowing Jack, he'd run up and then like take their club and start like trying to hit open face flop shots and drinking Bloody Marias, and they're like, oh, that's not a Sasquatch. That's Jack.
That's just Jack. Oh Jack.
Sassy the Sasquatch.
I was thinking, I thought one of the best names would have been like just shortening it. So just name him Sass.
Yeah.
I think that would be a pretty sick name, but I don't know.
I'm partial to Earl now the way you said that.
Earl's a pretty sick name. I'll have to stress that to him and see what they think about Earl. Because I think Earl would be sick.
And then I could gift you my free golf, because that would not do me a whole lot of good down here.
That's true. It wouldn't do you much down there.
No.
But yeah, dude, I couldn't tell you how, I really enjoyed my time out at Wildwood and at Manzanita and at Highlands. It was an absolute blast. And then I actually, so there's a coffee shop in Portland that I frequent, and it's called Dead Stock Coffee. And so there's a couple guys in the coffee shop that have picked up golf over COVID. And so when I moved back and they found out, how, what I'm doing and what I have been doing in the Bay Area, they were all juiced to go out and play with me. So, I told the guys, hey, they've never played a full 18, only played 9.
Wow.
And they've only played a couple times. So I planned a little outing so there's this course called Great Heron. So it's actually 2 courses. They've got Great Blue, which is a Jones. I don't know which Jones did it. I think senior or junior did it. I don't think it was Reese.
Trent Jones, right?
Trent Jones. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so I was like,
Shortening it up a
there's
little
a
bit.
Bobby Jones track called Blue Heron. Like,
Yeah. No. So
after designing Augusta National, Bobby went out to Portland where he designed Blue Heron.
No, Trent Jones. I don't know if it was senior, or junior that did it off the top of my head, but they definitely designed it. And then there's Greenback, which is the other 18 that they have out there.
So Greenback, I expected that course to be called.
Yeah. So there's Great Blue and then Greenback. And Greenback is a little bit easier, more parkland, which Great Blue is.
Sounds like there's a lot of water.
There's a lot. Almost every single hole has water, and it's built kind of on a marsh.
That sounds
with
right.
Blue herons all over the place, thus the name. But it's a very, very difficult and challenging links, and I'm doing quotation marks with that, link style golf course. Not link style, but that's what everybody in the Portland area calls a links course. And then so I took the guys out to Greenback, and they're new. Told them the tee time was going to be at 2:30. Should have told them to show up at 2 because I'm sitting at the tee box waiting for these guys to get there, and it's like 2:25. Neither one of them are there, and I'm like,
stresses. Well, as it has stressed me out, but that's normally right when I show up.
Well, and then what was super annoying, and we talk about this shit all the time. This shit fucking pissed me off. So Old Man Golf, as the starter, they've got this little starter booth that Old Man Golf sits in. And he comes waddling out of this fucking booth, comes right up to me and goes, "You need to tee off." And I still got a couple minutes for my tee time. And I'm like, all right, I'll just hit my ball and then I'll wait for him. So I see Terrell, he's checking in. I'm like, awesome. He's ready to go for the most part. I hit my ball. Terrell pulls up, and we're still waiting for our buddy Nori. And Nori, we call him, and he's like, "Dude, I just parked." The parking lot was nuts. It was super packed. So he's rushing to get his stuff out. And at this time, another group walks up, and we're like 1 minute past our tee time. And the Old Man Golf comes running up, waddling his ass up to us again, and yells at us saying that we need to get going. And I turn to him and I say, "Hey, I just told this group that they're more than welcome to play ahead of us. They're totally okay at that." He looks at me and he goes, "You can't do that." And I look at him sideways and go, "Sir, I've been playing golf for a very long time. I know exactly how golf course etiquette works. I'm going to allow these guys to play through so that we didn't have to let them pass on hole 2 or 3 because I got a couple new guys that are playing, and unfortunately they got stuck in traffic and are showing up a little late." He then turns to me and he goes, "Well, I guess you know how to do my job," and then storms off. At this point, Terrell is in the cart booking it back to pick up Nori. So Nori throws his bag on, hops in the cart, pulls up to the hole. I just tell the guys, "Hey, look, the other group just finished teeing off. They were walking down the fairway." I was like, "Hey, so we're a little behind. What we're going to do is we're just going to drive out to my ball, and I'll have you guys hit your first shots at my ball, and then we'll start we'll start the course from there." Cool. So both groups basically are in the middle of the fairway.
And his mind, that Old Man Golf.
Oh, losing his fucking mind. He calls the marshal over and tells him the situation. So then the marshal proceeds to follow us for 4 holes. Shit you not, right behind us for 4 holes. So after 2 holes, I'm kind of noticing this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And we're waiting on every single hole to tee off, in every single hole to hit in the fairway for the group in front of us. Like, I'm making sure that my buddies are on it. picking up balls or, maxing out, and I'm making sure that and we're playing 3 tees up. So I'm playing the yellow tees with them. So they at Heron Lakes, there's 4 tees. You've got the kids' tees, the ladies, if you want to call that, or the 3 ups, the 2 ups, the white, and the blues. So I tell them, hey, we're not going to play the kids because you guys can at least get the ball up in the air and hit it. So we're going to play 1 back behind that. So, we're playing up. We're only playing it at 5,200 yards. So we're not playing it long at all. We're staying up on the group in front of us. By the time the 3rd hole comes, we hit. The guys haven't even got on the green yet on this par 4. And the marshal's right up behind us, and the cart girl pulls up. A couple of my buddies want to go and grab something to drink. So they roll over there, grab some beers. Cart guy rolls up to me. I jump out of my cart at this time. I'm like pissed because it's
too much.
I'm also a little irritated that the only 2 black guys on the course are in my group, and we're the ones getting hassled. So I was getting really furious about that too. So I rolled up to him and I was like, hey, is there an issue? Do we have a problem? And he goes, hey, well, you guys let them play. And I was like, yeah, I've been playing since I was 9 years old. I'm 33 years old. That's over 20 years of golf. I know golf course etiquette. We have been on this group in front of us every step of the way. And he goes, yeah, I've noticed that. And I was like, so there's no reason for you to be following us. You can go about your day and try to speed up the other groups because we've had to wait on every shot.
I was going to say, if you're waiting, you need to get your ass several groups ahead and figure out
that's
why
what I told him.
A huge wait.
So after that, we didn't see him the rest of the round. Didn't see him anywhere else. I was so mad. And at that point, my buddies finished grabbing their drinks. They pulled up to me. They're like, hey, is everything okay? Because they don't want to cause issues, but also this is the reason that new golfers don't come back to play golf. Like, they made it very unwelcoming, even though, like, they showed up late. They hit some traffic. Like, it happens. Even us as, veteran golfers get in situations like that. Ashton all the time gets in those situations. It's like, after that, we had the best time ever. They literally were laughing, smiling. Nori hit some 260-yard drives. Like, it was a great time. And ever since then, they've been asking me to take him out and getting him going. And I've hooked him up with some golf shoes and some of my other clubs that I have and some of my spare bags. So it's just, the course was great. I didn't appreciate the people working at the course. They're fucking assholes. And to be honest, it's probably going to be a big reason on why I probably won't go back there and play anytime soon, because it just was unnecessary and uncalled for the way they handled the situation. And so other than that, great time. And I can't wait to take those guys out. And the course, to be honest, was really fun. I really enjoyed my day out there. I think I shot a 79 that day, played pretty well. And it's always fun to play with guys that haven't played the game very much because, for a guy like me, I'm not the greatest golfer, but when they see somebody like me, hit a par, 280-yard par 4 with the drive, like, they're blown away. Because that's just not something they see because they're just starting out with the game. So, it was really fun to play with somebody that's just amazed by every shot you hit, even when I hit like a semi-bad one.
It's funny you tell that story because on Thursday, one of my best friends, my buddy Joe, we've been friends since first grade. Have memories of, he used to live near our elementary school and we used to have little notes, right? I got permission to walk home with him. We've been friends since we were 6 years old, and he lives in San Francisco. And the other day we were hanging out and he was like, hey, would you ever want to go to Presidio one afternoon, just have 9 holes? And I was like, Yeah, for sure. So it's funny. We're gonna go there on Thursday, and let me put it this way. I don't know that he knows the last time he picked up his clubs. And I was thinking, I'm going to play 3-up with him. Same idea. Because also, too, I only know Presidio from kind of the back and middle tees. And I think what we all should be doing more of is just playing different tees, different shots, right? Like, I could tell you right now with my eyes closed what I hit in every hole from both sets of tees, but I've never played it 3-up. But also, like, if I want him to have fun, if I want him to want to come back, like Presidio is hard, right? Like it's going to be hard enough. He doesn't need to be playing, he needs to be playing the right tees. And for someone who barely plays golf, we're going to play 3-up. And, the thing he's most excited about is that his twilight round comes to beer. So, but like, that's fun. Like we have plenty of days of taking it seriously, but I'm just excited to go out there with him and go for a walk and drink some beer and play Presidio 3-up. I've never done that before, but it's also a reminder for us. We love playing with you, but playing with people like Nori and Joe, and there are people also to give us a different perspective on the game we love so much,
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I got out of that round. It was in the same kind of, feeling I get when I'm coaching high school golf.
Sure.
When I have a newer kid that comes out to play, and they're just so juiced when you show them something little, like, hey, put your feet together, open up your front foot a bit, and play the ball, a little bit middle back of your stance. And when they hit that perfect pure chip shot, it's just the coolest thing ever, because they're just like blown away at how easy it was. And when you go and play with guys like Terrell and Nori, it just, you fall in love with the game even more as somebody that is enthralled with it like us.
Mm-hmm.
But to play with them, it makes it so much more enjoyable, because we lose that little spark over time. And
things aren't new anymore. Like,
yeah,
it's not
and that's
new.
why I enjoy playing new courses, but also it causes me not to play my best a lot of the times, because I'm not necessarily knowing what to hit. But if I bring it back to the basics and simplify it, like you said, playing the up tees, if you play a lot of golf and you play the same course all the time, there's no reason that you should play from the back tees or whatever tees you play on a regular basis every single time you go out and play. You should challenge yourself. If you're a guy that doesn't hit it far, play from the back tees, but give yourself like, hey, I want to break 90 from the back tees today.
Right.
Give yourself a goal, or play from the front tees and say, all right, I usually shoot a 78 out here. I'm going to try to shoot par from the front tees today.
And that's normally going to show most people that they're not nearly as good at scoring as they need to be.
Absolutely, because
you got 60 yards in and you chip it on, you hit it on the back of the green 3-putt, and it's like, well, who cares? Like, you didn't take advantage of that.
I shot a 79 from 5,200 yards.
Right, for sure.
Like, I didn't ball out because I lost 500 yards off the tee, 600 yards off tees I normally would play.
Yeah.
Or more than that, actually. I think like 6,000 is the tees I normally would play at Heron Lake. So, it's something I think everybody should test out. And that's why I love playing short courses as well, because it really shows you what part of your game is your best part of your game.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a guy like you that hits the ball really well off the tee, you hit your long, hybrids really, really well, but then you go play a par 3 where you can't use any of those clubs and you're hitting them all left or all right, you're missing greens, well, then you absolutely know what you have to work on.
Right.
So by challenging yourself, you don't always need to go and practice on a practice area.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out and practice on the course, change up your tee boxes, because that's going to really tell you what you need to go on the practice area and practice.
Yeah, and again, especially for tracks that we love so much, it's just giving, like, every time we play golf, there are new experiences. But to your point, by mixing up the teas regularly. That's huge. And one callback that I'm just remembering as I'm saying this out loud, it goes back to our conversation with Paolo and Andre, right? They were saying that their members were out there so much that they were playing the blue, white, red, blue, white, red, blue, white, red. The idea of playing like, no, it's not.
Create
like
your own mixed teas.
Create your own mixed teas. Yeah. And that's something, honestly, I'm a little bit too structured for that. Like that stresses me out to like, well, like, what do you mean? I kind of want to be told what to do. Like it's kind of weird. Like a pasta.
Even though it kind of tells you, I mean, if you do blue, white, red,
no, I know,
you still get your distances there, but
I think
your par isn't the same.
Well, it's not even the par. It's more of like, I don't know. Like, I guess I shouldn't be too fixated on score, but sometimes it's like, but like for these teas, this is the rating,
Yeah, I feel you.
But no, but that's the point. Like it's more about having fun. And I think for me to share some of my experiences recently, I mean, I think what I just feel like I'm really kind of sounds very cheesy to say, but I kind of feel like I'm back in love with golf because I think that coming off of our trip, I was just really tired and our trip was great, but we talked about my tooth issue and we just played a lot of golf, right? I mean, we played a lot on our golf trip. We had played Pasa, we had played Presidio. You and I had played other places. We just played a lot of golf, right? And I think that I was just talking to my buddy Nick before I pressed record, and this past Saturday I played at Spanos Park, which I know you've played with Hussey and Jack and Marcus, and I shot 77, and I shot 77 with. I had 2 balls in the water and I had 2 3-putts. But I think the biggest thing was, I know this is obvious and stuff that we talk about, was my time away I just went out there and played golf. Like the week before I had a lesson, and very honestly, I mean, I hadn't practiced. I hadn't like really tried the new things that I had been told to work on, but I didn't try to do them on the course. I was like, I'm just going to go and play golf. As my dad says famously, golf, not golf swing. And my time away, I think really just gave me some perspective on, I think there are certainly days to jam a whole bunch of golf in. Like for example, this upcoming Friday, I'm doing 36 holes at Yocha. Like that's a place where it's like, it's a long way from home. You want to maximize it. We're found a way to make it like very affordable. Like that's a day where you should jam 36 holes in. But I think that like just that perspective of like these times where it's like, cool, like I'm going to play once a week. I'm going to play with people I really want to play with. I'm going to play a golf course that I really want to play. It just kind of gave me some wind in the sails. And the other thing, which I wanted to share as well, is I talked to my dad, as I mentioned, is really kind of helps me get perspective on everything. And a lot of what he's talked about us now is, being more of grown-ups, right? Like, about the bandit thing, right? Like I was all bent out of shape at a couple $100. And dad was just like, dude, like just do it, right? Like you're not going to regret it. You're not going to think about that couple $100. Just find, don't go out to eat a couple times and find that money elsewhere, right? So one thing he's talked a lot about is he sort of laughs at the amount of golf we play and how much we drive. And, like that's just not how he is. Like he'll go play AAC because it's across the street and his buddy invites him. That's kind of how he plays golf. But he sort of said how sometimes less is more. And on Saturday, we played Spanos. We were supposed to play 36 holes because for those of you who don't know, it's called the Reserve at Spanos Park. It's in Stockton. It's a solid hour and a half from the Bay Area. Kind of feels like it's an hour from everything. It's like an hour from where you used to live. It's an hour from Hussey's house. It's just not really close to anything unless you happen to live near Stockton. We're going to play 36 holes to maximize it. So we had a great day, played 4.5 hours. We would have played faster, but the guys ahead of us, there was a lot of people there just kind of drinking beer and hanging out. So we were kind of pushing up on people all day, but still 4.5 hours. But we went back at 3:40, played the first hole, got to the second hole. There was a group on the green, a group in the fairway, and then a single who had just teed off who was waiting to hit. And I looked at him and I was like, and also we found out that there's a tournament that I just teed off. Like that was a tournament, the like 320 tee time. And I was like, guys, we're not doing this. Like we're too smart. Like we're not even gonna finish because like these are people who should not be hitting cups, who are gonna be hitting cups. And Hussey called the pro shop and asked for a refund. And the guy said, "Yep, just bring the cards back. I'll put it right back on your card." Got in the car, drove back near Hussey's house, went to Whole Foods, grabbed a steak, some asparagus, some salad. Hussey ended up being a winemaker, has a bunch of wine, stuff for cocktails, and had a lovely day. And I just had this like really warm, kind of fuzzy feeling around just feeling good about everything. You know, like I didn't think I was going to share this, but like I was talking to Liz about it because she was out of town, and I got really emotional talking about it just because, as I've shared before, when I moved to the Bay Area, I never, like, I knew it was the right decision, but I think I had an idea of what this was going to, what my life was going to look like. And it just isn't what I thought it was going to be, meaning I didn't know who you were. I didn't know who Liz was. I didn't know who Hussey was. I didn't know who Jack was. I didn't know who Fabian or Dash or Marcus or all of these people who like mean a lot to me. And I just sort of feel like I'm not trying to say this is all because of the time away, but it's funny how just like it's given me some perspective or coming back to golf, having a great day with my friends. It helps that I played well, right? Because I know that when I was walking off of Rose City with you with a fucked up tooth, having like sleepwalked to an 88, I was like, I suck at golf. This isn't fun. I'm terrible. What am I doing? I'm a moron. Why did I switch this golf bag? Am I going to miss my flight? This is stupid. Like that, all this was going through my head. And then you kind of go have a great day with your buddies and shoot 77 and dance around the kitchen making, you know, cocktails. And you're like, you know, this is all thanks to golf, you know, in so many ways. Like this is really all thanks to golf. So that is way more than I meant to talk, but I think I've also gotten some perspective because I know you and I are both reading the Tom Coyne book, and would really encourage everybody to read Course Called America, because I think the big thing is you hear a lot about his golf experiences, but you get a lot of perspective in his book about how golf is a great game we love, but it's a real lens that I think we all are able to communicate and connect. Like even me and you, right? Like the connect, we said this before, like most people who I met 9 months ago, I just wouldn't be that close with them because it's been 9 months, but we're so close because we have this thing we're obsessed with. And like he says in the book, when we're on the course, we can share about something, right? Whatever it is, like, not that those have health issues, but it's like whatever you're feeling, like whatever you want to share. It's something I might not call you and say, "Hey, Chris, this is going through my head." But as Tom Coyne beautifully says in the book, like I think he says that, you know, the tee box of a par 3 can become like a confessional, right? That's a really beautiful idea. So that was just all that kind of came out. But yeah, the point is we had to go around and Spanish Park.
It's so true, though. I mean, you know, me moving back, being away from the Bay, or being away from Portland for 2 years, and coming back, and you know, I didn't really make a tight group of friends when I lived here before, other than the guys at the coffee shop. I would say those were my tightest friends. The owner of Deadstock, Ian Williams, and Nori, and you know, Jordan, and all those guys out there, and the twins, and I mean, which anybody knows, we got some things coming, you know, getting worked on right now for our logo and things like that from the guys at Deadstock, from the two twins. And I can't wait for you to meet those guys. They're two of the best kids. I mean, I think they're 21 now. They might be younger than that, but they're kind of the creators and, you know, visionaries behind most of the Deadstock stuff. And if you're into coffee, please follow Deadstock on Instagram and stuff, because some of the best coffee you'll ever have. And I know Ashton knew about them prior, but those were really the only friends I had. And then we moved back to the Bay Area for a couple years, and then just moved back. And with me jumping into running the RGC in Portland, and, you know, with our connections through MuniciPals, and the people I've met through all the courses that have invited me out, you know, in the last couple weeks since I've been here, it has been an absolute pleasure. And I've been able to kind of get a group of friends together really quickly. And I had my friends, like the guys at Deadstock, and Max and Drew and Eric at Muni Kids. Three of my really good friends out here as well. And again, if you guys are golf people and you like the Muni vibe, Muni Kids out in Portland make some of the best head covers you're ever going to see, and some of the best golf products you're ever going to see. And if that's not your vibe, their other project, Ryland Golf, is going to be your vibe. So, if you're a fan of Seamus head covers and those kind of things, they make them at a way better price point and just as good a quality. So please check out Ryland Golf for Muni Kids. Those are my boys. But again, to go back to what you were saying, it puts into perspective when you have those kind of days. Like when I went out and played Eastmoreland last week, I guess that's another course I haven't talked about. I got out and got to play the Muni of Munis out here in Portland, and I got to go play with two of the guys from RGCSF, and just like it was in San Francisco.
Wait, you know RGC Portland.
I'm sorry, RGC Portland.
Oh, who was up there?
What I meant to say was two of the guys from RGC Portland, but it brought me back to what we created and what Kanan created in San Francisco with the RGC San Francisco. And I just followed Kanan's blueprint of what he's done out in San Francisco. And I started a group chat and started, adding people left and right that wanted to be added. And I posted on RGC, if anybody is in the area and wants to be added to the group chat, we're going to share tee times and start with meetups and, share fun stories and everything through that group chat. And it's basically been the same thing as our San Francisco, chapter was. And our friend that went on our first golf trip with us, Christian Park, he is now living in Portland, and got him invited. And I know he reached out to you and was like, Chris has lit a fire under RGC Portland. Like this chapter was dead in the water, and we just weren't getting any traction. And Chris jumped in there, and we went up to over 400 followers, and there's a group chat, and people are connecting and going out and playing golf together. And that stuff has just been so much fun since I've been back, and being able to meet so many people in such a quick pace. It's been absolutely a blast. And
yeah, and I think the whole point is, like, I've realized, and again, Tom Coyne's book has helped me realize, it's like, for me and you, I think that's the fabric that holds us together. Because I've never thought I would do this on the podcast, but I actually want to read this segment, because I read it. I've now read it like 4 or 5 times. I read it to Liz, but I think that in so many ways, this is kind of what we're talking about. So he says, it's well-documented sociology that men struggle with genuine friendships. Many call it a crisis, and studies have deemed adult male loneliness a greater threat to their health than smoking or obesity. Loners live with an increased risk of cancer, stroke, and heart disease, while their healthy female counterparts reap the rewards of community and connection. But it wasn't always that way. In early adolescence, boys bond as well as girls do, but somewhere around the age of 15, the same age depression begins to spike. Dudes start shutting down. They stop needing or seeking friends, describing it as a sign of weakness or femininity, and thus begins the lonely road of the American male. The distractions of modernity have only made retreat easier, and when men do converse with other men, scholars describe it as, quote, shoulder-to-shoulder, quote, interactions, while women excel at face-to-face relationships. Take a look at your next cocktail party and watch women speak to one another while guys lip their drinks and eye a blank television. Whatever the root cause, I pursued the studies and came to a happy conclusion. Thank you, golf. You're saving my life. My golf friendships aren't bonds of psychotherapeutic perfection. I'm more interested in beating my playing partners and having a chat, a pastime I never really mastered or valued. Trish, Brendan, that's one of his friend's wife, would inquire for updates about our rounds. How are Tom's kids? How's Allison? How's their trip to Florida? His weekly response, I don't know. This always confused her. Didn't you just spend a day and a half with him or half a day with him? What did you talk about? What did we talk about? Golf, I guess, and stuff. But sometimes I realized that stuff really did matter. And not asking for information, it was offered. It was on the golf course that another friend once confided that his marriage had dissolved into an acrimonious mess, that he was losing his kids and was holding on by a very thin thread. I'd heard confessions of infidelity, of financial jeopardy, of teens who hated their father's guts with heartbreaking and inscrutable intensity. Waiting to hit on a par three could become a mini confessional because golf friendships possess some of those vital elements that therapists would approve of: trust and genuine vulnerability. I have seen scores of alpha males turn fragile on the first tee and witnessed bulls of the business world sink into meek apologers, humbled by our game. The trials of a round of golf could break us down to the point where, by the 16th hole, 4 quiet acquaintances had become comrades rowing a lifeboat. I had no plans to call any of my new friends for an afternoon chat. Chatting was a concept that made me wince, but at least I had the golf course where walking shoulder to shoulder was better than walking alone. And at that, I think that just encapsulates everything, right? And that was really Saturday for me, where it's like 3 human beings I love a lot, and Marcus, Jack, and Hussey, especially Jack and Hussey, just because Marcus, I love you. But, I've only played golf with Marcus, right? We're having gone on these trips and having days like Saturday, like it was incredible to like spend time at Hussey's house. And like, we weren't talking about golf, we're sitting there slightly buzzed on cocktails, and Hussey's telling us about how to open different kinds of wines and all this stuff. And it's just kind of that cool moment where it's like, this thing brought us together, but now our friendship has surpassed that. And again, the golf was fun, but it actually wasn't the point,
No, and it never is the point. Like we enjoy playing the game, but the time we spend together after and before it are what I think I cherish the most when it comes to golf. Like having golf buddies is one thing, but having growing friendships that blossom out of that is really a difficult situation for everybody, to be honest. And I think, Tom talks about that with Just Men, but I think with social media and with, all these different things that we create so much screen time nowadays, that people don't know how to interact face to face. And by going out and playing, golf in just setting up a tee time, maybe playing with strangers or a friend that you haven't talked to in a long time, or, people that we play with on a regular basis, like Hussey and Jack, it allows you to learn about somebody, catch up with somebody, or create a new bond with somebody. And it's not easy to do in any other aspects. Like, you don't just get into a group chat of dudes that love to go to the bar. Like, it's just, you don't do that. It's just, you don't.
No.
So,
no, and that's actually to your point. I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying about how we don't know how to interact. But the funny thing is, though, what I will never understand, though, is people despising social media. Because I mean, like, again, I don't meet Liz without Hinge. I don't meet you guys without Instagram. And sure enough, another example is on Friday. The afternoon round, I'm playing with a guy named Levi Van Winkle, who, I'm not going to lie to you, if he walked into my house right now, I wouldn't know who he is. But he's someone who followed me on Instagram, I don't know, a couple months ago. And he's always commenting. He's always super nice. He's always commenting on my posts. He's been to Bandon. Like, I've seen, like, I know that, like, I think one of his first comments was, I had a poured a beer in a Braves glass. And it turns out he is a Braves fan, massive golfer living in Sacramento. And so we had an open spot. And I was like, hey, Yocha, Friday, 320, $68. And he said, I'll be there. I don't know. But that's the fun part of, like, he was like, I'm really excited to meet you and play with you. And I'm legitimately stoked to meet him,
Yeah.
It's a funny thing with, like, I know enough to know that I'm going to like him, but this will only happen. I don't have his phone number, right? It's like social media can be horrendous, but like there's so many things in my life where social media has been such a gift. Like again, Marcus, Jack, and Levi, none of whom I meet without specifically Instagram. Like I hate
Yeah.
Facebook, suck it, Facebook. Sorry, Munda. But like what a blessing.
Well, Facebook owns Instagram. So.
That's what I mean. I know. I'm trying to drive by shoot Facebook while ignoring the fact that like Instagram is standing on like that's the foundation. I know they're stealing all of our data, and that's okay. Well, it's not, but that's a separate podcast. But yeah, just like that feeling of like I'm gonna go play Yocha with a bunch of guys I met on Instagram. Our golf trip, a bunch of guys met on Instagram, and that actually the whole male connection thing. That's what we were talking about, right? Like on that first trip of like, it's really hard to make friends. Like I have plenty of friends, but I don't have friends who love golf. I love golf, right? I don't have like, if I go to my buddy Joe, I'm playing golf Thursday, no laying up. He's like, isn't that like golf brand you talk about all the time? And it's like, yeah, but like I want, like I want people who can engage with like my shit. And it's so cool to have like buddies who can engage with my shit,
I feel yeah.
Man, we started talking about Manzanita Links. Now we're on this like heartfelt little like little path. But even this though, right, Chris? Like this podcast exists because of social media, right? Like
yeah. But it's
honestly,
utilizing social media correctly.
Totally. No, but like, I'm even just saying with the connection thing though, like I outside of Liz, I talk to you more than anybody. I talk to you more than I talk to my dad. Like I talk like. And I didn't know you a year ago. It's crazy. It's crazy in the best way ever,
It is. And I'm so, thankful for it. And I'm glad we were able to meet that way because this has been an absolute blast. And I can't wait to see where it goes and how it grows because MuniciPals aren't going anywhere. And we've got some great stuff coming up.
Should you tell the people what podcast is coming next week, Chris?
So we've got a big podcast coming next week. I would say it might be our biggest so far.
I'm not trying to drive by shoot our friends. It's our biggest podcast so far.
It might be. And so we're gonna have, who I would consider, good close acquaintance at this point. Our friend now to the podcast, Matt Cardis, also known as Golf in Your State. If you don't follow him on any social media platforms on Instagram, please do. He's doing some incredible things for the face of golf, in all of his endeavors and travels. And we go in depth with him in that interview. And it's an absolute pleasure to be able to interview him and have him on the pod as, one of our first really big, big spotlights there and what he's doing. So I'm so freaking stoked for it. It's going to be an absolute blast of a podcast to have posted. So,
yeah. And Chris, do you want to tell, we're going to talk about it next week, but do you want to give like a 60-second summary of kind of like, because you can probably imagine what golf in your state means, but just like a brief summary for people who are like, what is that?
Yeah. So golf in your state as a whole is Matt in his van traveling the United States to kind of showcase the game of golf.
Like a tricked out sprinter van that he sleeps and eats and everything.
He lives in this van. It's a tricked out Mercedes sprinter van that has his bed in the back. He's got his little kitchen hangout area in the middle and, driver cockpit up front. It's all decked out. He's got flags from all the courses that he's been all over the inside of it. Everybody that he meets, he has signed the outside of the van. I am so privileged to be on the family panel, was able to sign my name, put MuniciPals on there. And, he started off doing his first main thing was the wall project where he was traveling, playing courses, but also doing community service projects across the United States. So either, going to a local muni and painting all the divider walls or, picking up trash to, beautifying a park. He did all sorts of projects across across the country with wall project, and it was such a cool thing that he did there. And now he's on a new thing where he's doing something called Detour, where Detour is he's going back to all the places that he absolutely loved and created amazing friendships with. So he's making, basically, thus the word detour. He's making detours throughout his travels on his way back and forth across the country to all of the places that mean the most to him deep down in his heart. And what he talks about, what we get to interview him about, is so good. And if anybody is into the game and are freaks like we are about the game, you need to listen to this podcast, because it is such an enlightening conversation that we have, and the perspective that he has on golf is unlike anyone else. He has a very distinctive perspective on the game and what it means to him and what it means, in the whole. So I'm so stoked.
And I think the best part of it is like, he gets like really deep. Like he has these very kind of deep metaphysical thoughts.
And roasts me a few times.
Roast him, but also too, like in the middle of the pod, Jack will probably edit some of this out. But like he gets a pizza ordered at the van and is like eating pizza and like apologizing to us. I'm like, the dude's just like doing us a favor, right? Like he doesn't have to do this. And so like he's giving us these like pretty deep, like transcendental metaphysical thoughts on golf and life while eating like a margarita pizza. And like, it's just going to be good. So yeah, we'll give that a listen next week. But Chris, this was a good one, man. I think the big thing is like, we love having these guests, but
this is the meat and potatoes of what MuniciPals is.
Yeah, I know I got really kind of like sentimental tonight, but I just feel really grateful for you, buddy. Really grateful for kind of the, our community, the community hopefully we're building, and yeah, just excited to keep going.
Stoked for it, and can't wait to chat next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, take it easy, my man.
See ya.